The alien colony was quiet that night, but not peaceful. In every corner of the settlement, whispers filled the air. The young alien girls huddled together in their sleeping chambers, their large glowing eyes wide with fear and curiosity. For weeks, they had been told stories, warnings about a strange creature from the stars, a creature with strength unlike theirs, a creature that could not be trusted. That creature was called human male. The elders had said the human would arrive soon. None of the girls had ever seen one before. They had only heard dark tales, that humans were wild, that they took what they wanted, and that no female was safe in their presence. Some girls shivered just thinking about it, while others leaned closer, whispering questions they dared not ask out loud. "What does he look like?" one girl asked softly, her voice trembling. "They say his skin is pale and strange," another replied, "and his eyes burn like fire." The youngest girl gasped, pulling the blanket tighter around her small frame. "Will he hurt us?" No one answered. Outside, the sky glowed faintly as the two moons crossed paths. It should have been a night of celebration, but instead it felt heavy, as if danger itself was walking closer with every second. The air carried a tension so thick it made the girls restless. Some could not sleep. Others dreamed of monsters with human faces. In the central hall, the elders sat around a burning torch. Their voices were low, but the words carried far. "The male must not be trusted," one elder said firmly, her voice hard as stone. "But what if he is different?" another asked, uncertain. "Different?" The elder's tone was sharp. "He is dangerous. His kind is chaos. Remember that." The girls, hiding near the doorway, listened with pounding hearts. If the elders feared him this much, then surely the human was a threat. Yet in the young hearts, a spark of curiosity still burned. Fear and fascination twisted together until none of them could tell which was stronger. Far beyond the colony walls, a light streaked across the dark sky. It was not a falling star. It was a vessel breaking through the atmosphere. The ground trembled faintly as it descended. The human had come. Inside the sleeping chamber, one girl pressed her hand to the cold window, staring into the night. Her pulse raced. She whispered words no one else could hear. "If he is a monster, why do I want to see him with my own eyes?" The last night before contact stretched endlessly. No one slept well. Every creak, every whisper of wind made the girls flinch. Outside, the air smelled of metal and smoke. The human was close. By the time the suns rose again, their world would never be the same. The morning came heavy with silence. The alien colony woke slowly, the young girls stepping outside their chambers with nervous eyes. The two suns painted the sky gold, but no one admired the beauty. Everyone was waiting. Everyone was afraid. Then they heard it, a sound the world had never known before. It was not wind. It was not thunder. It was something deeper, something alive. The ground trembled beneath their feet. The girls clutched each other as a roar echoed across the valley. Above the trees, a shining shape cut through the sky. The human had arrived. The vessel was small, scarred with burns from its fall. It landed hard in the open field, shaking the ground like an angry beast. Dust rose high, swallowing the figure inside. For long moments, no one dared to breathe. The alien girls hid behind walls and windows, their glowing eyes wide with fear and wonder. When the dust began to clear, they saw him. The human stepped down from the vessel. His body was taller than they imagined, his shoulders broad beneath strange armor. His skin looked pale compared to theirs, his face marked with lines of exhaustion, but also something stronger, something they could not name. His eyes scanned the land, sharp and restless. The alien girls gasped. Some felt fear bite into their hearts. Others felt their curiosity grow. "He is not like us," whispered one. "But he does not look like a monster," said another softly. The human reached for his weapon, a sleek device strapped to his back. The sight made the guards tighten their stance, hands gripping their spears of energy. A single wrong move could set the field on fire. Yet the human did not attack. Instead, he placed the weapon carefully on the ground, raising both hands into the air. It was a gesture no alien girl understood, but something in it felt safe. Still, chaos buzzed in their minds. They had been told a human, Male was dangerous, that he would destroy or claim them, but here he was standing still, trying to show he meant no harm. The elders approached, their steps slow but heavy with authority. They spoke in their tongue, sharp and commanding. The human tilted his head, clearly confused. He answered in his own language, rough and strange, but his tone was not hostile. The alien girls whispered among themselves. Every word from the human was new to their ears, like a melody they had never heard before. Some clung to fear, some leaned into wonder. Then, something unexpected happened. A small child, too young to understand fear, broke free from the crowd. She walked across the field, her tiny feet carrying her closer to the human. Gasps filled the air. Guards shouted, but the child kept walking. The human froze. He crouched down slowly, lowering himself to her height. His hands stayed open, empty, harmless. The child reached out her hand. The human hesitated, and then gently, he placed his hand against hers. The colony erupted in chaos. The moment the human's hand touched the child's, the colony froze. The guards raised their weapons, the elders shouted warnings, but none dared to fire. The human stayed still, his eyes fixed on the tiny alien girl before him. His eyes, those strange, deep eyes, were nothing like what the alien girls had imagined. They were not burning with fire, not filled with hunger, not sharp with cruelty. Instead, they held something the girls had never seen in a male before. A quiet patience, a question, a kind of sorrow that whispered of battles long fought. For the alien girls watching from behind the walls, the world shifted. Fear still curled in their stomachs, but curiosity burned brighter. One of the older girls whispered, "His eyes. They are not the eyes of a monster." Another shook her head quickly, trying to hide her own trembling. "No. They are the eyes of something dangerous. We must not trust them." But even as she said it, she could not look away. The human slowly pulled his hand back, careful not to frighten the child. He glanced around at the crowd, hundreds of alien eyes staring at him. His chest rose and fell with a heavy breath. Then he lowered his gaze, as if to say, "I am not your enemy." The elders stepped forward, their voices sharp. They shouted at the human, demanding that he leave their land. The human tilted his head, clearly not understanding their language. He said something in return, his voice rough but calm. The alien girls leaned in closer to hear. The words were strange, but the tone carried no malice. The tension was breaking. Fear was giving way to something else, confusion, curiosity, and the first sparks of defiance. Suddenly, one brave alien girl stepped out from the crowd. She was taller than the others, her silver hair catching the light of the twin suns. Her heart pounded, but she could not hold herself back. She wanted to see him clearly. Step by step, she walked closer to the human. Every pair of eyes in the colony followed her. The elders hissed warnings, the guards raised their weapons, but the girl ignored them all. Her gaze locked onto the humans. And then it happened. For the first time, an alien girl and a human male met eye to eye, truly, without fear, without walls, without lies. The human's eyes widened slightly, as if he too was surprised. The girl felt her throat tighten. In his eyes, she did not see a beast. She saw someone who had suffered, someone who carried pain but also strength. And in that instant she wondered, what if everything we were told was wrong? Gasps spread through the crowd. The other girls pressed closer, daring to peek from their hiding places. Some whispered in awe, others trembled, torn between terror and fascination. The human slowly lowered himself to one knee, keeping his hands open, his eyes never leaving hers. It was not a bow, not a threat. It was something else, something she could not yet name. The air itself seemed to pause. The colony held its breath. The first eye contact had been made, and nothing would ever be the same again. The field was silent. The brave alien girls stood frozen before the human, their eyes locked. Around them, the colony watched in stunned disbelief. No one had expected her to step forward, and no one had imagined the human would kneel without force. But silence cannot last forever. The girl's breath shook as she raised her hand. She had never touched a male before, not even one of her own kind. Every tale, Every warning screamed in her mind, "Don't do it, he will hurt you." Yet her heart pushed her forward. Slowly, she stretched out her trembling fingers. The human stayed still, his eyes calm, his hands open. He made no sudden moves. The moment her hand brushed against the rough fabric of his sleeve, the colony erupted. Gasps, screams, and shouts filled the air. She touched him. "Pull her back. He will take her." The guards rushed forward, weapons raised, but the human did not strike. He only looked down at her hand on his arm, then back into her glowing eyes. His expression was unreadable, half wonder, half sorrow. The girl snatched her hand back, startled by the wave of chaos around her. Fear spread like fire. Some alien girls ran toward their chambers, wailing as if the world had ended. Others leaned forward, their curiosity too strong, their eyes wide with hunger for the truth. The elders roared, their voices echoing across the field. "He has bewitched her. This is the beginning of ruin." The guards formed a tight circle around the human. Spears hummed with energy, their tips glowing like fire. The human tensed, but did not reach for his weapon. He simply raised his hands higher, showing they were empty. But one young guard, shaking with fear, made a mistake. He lunged. The human reacted in an instant. With a swift motion, he caught the spear's shaft and shoved it aside. The energy beam grazed the ground, sending sparks flying. The colony screamed. "See!" Chaos exploded. Girls scattered. Elders shouted commands. Guards prepared to strike. The human backed away, his eyes darting from one hostile face to another. His voice boomed in his own language, firm and sharp. None understood the words, but the meaning was clear. "I will not die quietly." The brave alien girl stood frozen, her chest tight with guilt. She had touched him. She had started this. But as she watched, she realized something. The human had not harmed the guard. He had only defended himself. His strength was terrifying, but his restraint was even more shocking. Her eyes widened. "He does not want to kill us." The crowd did not see it that way. To them, the moment confirmed every warning. The human was dangerous, unpredictable. The colony howled in panic, the order of their lives cracking apart like glass. And yet, beneath the storm of chaos, a seed had been planted. The alien girls who had seen his eyes, who had watched his restraint, now doubted the elder's words. Fear still ruled, but curiosity was growing. The touch had changed everything. The field shook with noise. Elders shouted, guards surrounded, and alien girls cried out in panic. The human stood in the center, hands raised high, but his calm did not calm the crowd. His presence alone was enough to split the colony between terror and curiosity. The brave alien girl who had touched him tried to speak, but her voice drowned under the storm. Her words could not reach the elders. "Hold him down," one elder commanded. The guards obeyed. They stepped forward, spears glowing, forming a deadly circle. The human's chest tightened as he realized the danger. He had shown restraint once. He had placed his weapon on the ground to prove peace. Yet now they closed in as if he were a beast to be slain. He spoke again in his rough human voice, shaking his head firmly. The words were strange, but the plea was clear. "I don't want this fight." But fear makes enemies out of shadows. One guard lunged, his spear aimed at the human's chest. The human reacted with the speed of a soldier. He twisted aside, grabbed the shaft, and shoved the guard to the ground without killing him. Gasps filled the air. The girls saw strength beyond anything they knew, but the elders saw only danger. "He attacks! He proves the truth!" they cried. More guards rushed forward. Sparks and beams lit the air. The human ducked, rolled, and struck only to disarm, never to kill. His movements were sharp, trained, born from battles far from this world. Each time he knocked away a weapon, he shouted in his tongue, frustration growing. The alien girls clutched each other, torn between fear and awe. Their hearts raced as they watched the human fight like a storm, yet spare lives again and again. The brave girl cried out, her voice finally breaking through. "Stop! He is not killing you, he is sparing you!" But the words were drowned by chaos. The elders did not listen. The guards did not pause. They saw a monster in their midst and believed only blood could end the threat. A spear tip grazed the human's arm, burning the flesh. He stumbled back, gritting his teeth. For the first time, pain twisted his face. The alien girls gasped, realizing the truth. He could bleed. He was not invincible. He was mortal, just like them. But pain pushed the human's instincts sharper. He grabbed another spear, snapped it in half, and tossed the pieces aside. His voice roared across the field, raw and desperate. Still, the misunderstanding grew deeper. To the guards, his shout was a war cry. To the girls, it was something else, a cry of survival, of a man cornered and unwilling to fall. The brave girl's heart pounded. She knew if the fight continued, someone would die. And deep inside, she feared it would not be the human, it would be one of her own. The misunderstanding had turned violent. The fragile balance was broken. The human's fate, and theirs, now hung by a single thread. The air was thick with fear. The human stood in the center of the field, blood dripping from the shallow wound on his arm. Guards circled, weapons glowing, ready to strike. The alien girls hid behind walls and pillars, but their wide eyes never left him. The brave girl's heart pounded. She had seen it clearly. The human had spared every life. He had not killed when he easily could have. He had fought only to defend himself. Yet the elders shouted, their voices sharp and angry. "Do you not see? He is violence itself. Look how he resists us. He must be destroyed before he destroys us." The guards pressed closer. Sparks hissed at the tips of their spears. The human's chest rose and fell quickly. He could fight again. His body showed the strength of a soldier, but his eyes told a different story. They were not the eyes of a predator. They were tired eyes, worn eyes, eyes that had seen too much pain. One of the younger alien girls whispered, her voice trembling, "He bleeds, just like us." The words spread among the others, heads turned, fear softened, replaced by something else, doubt. The brave girl suddenly stepped forward, blocking the path of the nearest guard. Her voice shook but carried through the field. "He does not seek to kill you. He is only trying to live." The elder snapped at her, rage twisting her features. "Foolish child, you let his poison into your heart." But others had seen it too. More girls whispered, their voices joining the doubt. He held back. He could have struck, but he didn't. The human lowered his hands, slowly pressing one against his wound. Blood stained his fingers. He winced, but he stayed upright. Then, with effort, he spoke again. His words were rough, his language foreign, yet his tone was soft, gentle, almost pleading. The girls leaned closer, straining to hear. They didn't understand the words, but they felt the meaning. He wasn't asking for victory. He was asking for trust. One girl, braver than the rest, stepped out from the crowd and offered him a cloth. The human looked at her, eyes narrowing in surprise. For a moment, he hesitated. Then he accepted it carefully, pressing it against his wound. Gasps echoed across the field. The elders' faces twisted with fury. "You disgrace us! You help the beast?" But it was too late. The truth was spreading like fire. The human was no mindless monster. He was a man with strength, yes, but also with restraint. A creature capable of harm yet choosing not to. The brave girl raised her chin. "Maybe everything you told us was wrong." The guards faltered. The crowd murmured louder. The wall of fear that had held the colony together was cracking. And in that crack, the truth shone through. The human was not their doom. He might just be their only chance to see the world differently. The night was heavy with silence, but no one truly slept. The human had been placed under watch near the old stone hall, guarded by two warriors who never lowered their spears. His wound had been wrapped with the cloth offered by one of the girls, but no healer was allowed near him. The elders wanted him contained, alive for now, but treated like a wild beast. Yet whispers spread quickly through the colony. The girls could not forget what they had seen, his restraint, his pain, his eyes. Curiosity burned brighter than fear. In the darkness, small figures moved between the shadows. One by one, the alien girls slipped from their chambers, careful not to wake their families. Their glowing eyes guided them as they crept toward the stone hall. The brave girl was the first to arrive. She pressed her back against the wall, her heart pounding. Her mind screamed that this was forbidden, but her chest ached with questions that no elder could answer. Soon, others joined her. Whispering nervously, they crouched near the window slits. They could see him inside. The human sat against the wall, his head bowed, his hands resting on his knees. He looked tired, worn, almost lonely. "He does not sleep like us," one girl whispered. "He looks broken," another said softly. The brave girl swallowed her fear and pushed the door open just enough to slip inside. Gasps rose from the others, but none dared stop her. The human lifted his head slowly, his eyes finding hers. She froze under his gaze, every warning from the elders flooding back into her mind. But his eyes were calm, curious, not cruel. She stepped closer. Her hands trembled, but her voice found strength. "Why did you not kill them? You could have." The human did not understand her words, but he seemed to sense the question. He shook his head slowly and touched his chest, then gestured outward, palms open. His lips moved, speaking words she could not grasp, but the tone was clear. He had no wish to harm. The girl's breath caught. She whispered almost to herself, "You are not what they say." More girls entered, unable to resist any longer. They surrounded him in a cautious circle, their glowing eyes watching every move. Some asked questions in their tongue, even knowing he could not answer. Others reached forward hesitantly, as if testing if he was real. The human remained still, patient, allowing their curiosity to unfold. He offered small gestures, a nod, a faint smile, a gentle movement of his hand, to show he understood their wonder. For the first time the girls laughed. Nervous, quiet laughs, but laughs nonetheless. The tension cracked, just a little. But outside the hall, danger stirred. The elders had noticed the absence of so many young ones. Their shadows approached, heavy with anger. The brave girl felt the chill of fear return. If they were caught, punishment would be severe. Yet as she looked back at the human sitting calmly among them, she felt something stronger than fear. Hope. Forbidden curiosity had begun, and nothing could stop it now. The sun rose pale and cold over the colony, but it could not warm the tension that filled the stone halls. The elders had discovered the girl's secret visit to the human. Their fury burned hotter than the midday sun. "Traitors, you disobeyed every rule," the eldest shouted, her voice echoing across the courtyard. The girls cowered, but the brave girl stepped forward, her chin high, eyes shining with defiance. "We only wanted to understand," she said. Her voice trembled, but it carried. The elders' faces twisted in disbelief. "Understand? You seek knowledge from a monster. He is your enemy. He must be destroyed." The other girls whispered among themselves. Fear battled curiosity inside their hearts. Many still wanted to obey, but the truth they had glimpsed the night before refused to be silenced. The brave girl turned to the human, who now stood silently, hands folded in front of him. He made no move to flee, no move to strike. He simply watched, his calm presence almost daring the elders to act. A younger elder, one less hardened by years of tradition, stepped forward. "Wait, perhaps he is not what we believe. The girls claim he spared lives. Could they be telling the truth?" The eldest elder's eyes blazed. "Do not listen to their lies. Humans are dangerous. They cannot be trusted. If we yield now, we lose everything we have ever known." The brave girl's voice rose, steady and firm. "We have seen what he can do. He fought, yes, but he did not kill when he could have. He has pain, like us. He can feel. Why must you see him only as a threat?" Silence fell. The wind whispered through the halls, carrying the weight of doubt. The human's quiet strength filled the space like a living shadow, and even the toughest elders felt it press against their hearts. One by one, the younger girls spoke, each recounting the human's actions, each describing his restraint, his patience, his willingness to survive without harming others. Their voices wove together into a chorus of truth that no elder could easily deny. The eldest elder slammed her fist on the table. "Enough! You will all face punishment if you continue this madness." But the brave girl stepped closer, eyes locked on the human. "Punish us if you must, but you cannot erase what we saw. You cannot take back the truth. He is not your enemy, not entirely, and if you continue to hate blindly, we will all suffer." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Even the most loyal elders could not ignore the courage of the young ones. Doubt gnawed at their ancient certainties. The human remained still, unafraid. His calmness shone like a beacon, and slowly, imperceptibly, a shift began. Fear lost some of its power. The belief that all humans were monsters began to crack. The brave girl breathed deeply, feeling the change. The path ahead was still dangerous. The elders would not surrender easily, but for the first time, she saw a flicker of possibility. Perhaps their world could change. Perhaps humans and aliens could see each other not as enemies, but as beings capable of understanding. And in that moment, the first wall of old beliefs began to crumble. The air in the stone hall felt heavier than ever. The elders had gathered in a circle, their faces tense, their hands gripping staffs and weapons. Outside, the girls stood quietly, their eyes fixed on the human. Every heartbeat seemed louder than the last, echoing through the walls like a drum of war. The eldest elder spoke first, her voice trembling with authority and anger. "We face a decision. Do we follow our traditions and destroy him, or do we allow this human to live among us?" The younger elder, who had questioned the human's nature the day before, stepped forward, voice soft but firm. "We have seen what he did. He could have harmed us, yet he did not. He is patient, even kind in ways we do not understand. Perhaps it is time to see him not as a monster, but as someone different." Whispers passed through the girls. The brave girl felt hope flicker inside her chest. She knew the elder's choice could change everything, or nothing. The eldest elder's eyes narrowed. "Do you trust him? After everything humans have done in the past, you risk the lives of every one of us." "He risked his life for others too," the brave girl said. Her voice carried across the hall, unwavering. "He did not act with cruelty. He acted with caution, and yet he chose not to kill. That is not weakness, that is strength. That is something we have never seen before." The human remained silent, bowing his head slightly, listening. He did not speak their language, but his gaze, steady and honest, spoke louder than words. The girls felt it like a warm current through the cold hall. An elder's hand shook as he gripped his staff. "But what if he deceives us? What if this is a trap?" The brave girl stepped closer, her small frame bold against the towering adults. "We risk more if we cling to fear. We will never know the truth if we hide behind old hatred. Look at him. He does not lie. He does not strike. He waits, and he survives. That is the proof." A long silence followed. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Finally, the eldest elder's voice softened, though the edge of fear lingered. "If we allow him to live, we must watch him. We cannot ignore the danger entirely, but perhaps we can learn from him. Perhaps there is more to humans than we thought." The girls exhaled quietly, relief washing over them. The human looked up slowly, his eyes meeting theirs. They shone with understanding, as if he knew the weight of the choice that had just been made. The brave girl approached him, a small smile forming on her lips. "You live," she whispered, "for now. But understand, trust is fragile. You must earn ours every day." He nodded slightly, a gesture simple yet powerful. No words were needed. The unspoken promise between them was clear. Survival now depended on understanding, courage, and the fragile bridge they had begun to build. The elders returned to their councils, still wary but with a seed of curiosity planted. The girls stayed close to the human, their hearts lighter, their minds alert. For the first time, the colony felt a shift. A choice had been made. Fear no longer ruled entirely. Trust had begun to bloom, fragile and delicate, but alive. And in that quiet moment, a single truth became clear. The future would not be shaped by hatred, but by courage, and by the willingness to see beyond what they had always known. The sun rose slowly, painting the alien sky with colors the human had never seen. Shadows stretched across the valley, hiding shapes that moved with quiet menace. The girls huddled close, their small hands gripping his arms as they looked toward the horizon. Today would be the first true test. The elders had warned them of the dangers beyond their colony. The forests were no longer safe, and creatures that had never been seen before prowled under the light of the twin moons. Yet the human did not waver. His eyes scanned the horizon, calculating, ready. He did not speak much, but every move he made carried confidence, a silent promise of protection. A sudden sound cut through the morning air, a deep, vibrating roar that shook the ground beneath their feet. The girls froze. Even the elders who watched from the high cliffs felt a pang of fear. The roar was followed by shadows, dozens of massive alien beasts moving as one, their eyes glowing with hunger. The eldest girl whispered, This is what they warned us about. We cannot fight them." The human bent down to their level. "We don't fight like them," he said simply. "We think. We move together. We survive together." Before they could question him, he leaped into motion. He guided the girls behind rocks and fallen logs, pointing out paths and weak spots in the terrain. Each step was precise, each move careful, avoiding the eyes of the massive beasts. The girls followed, trembling but determined. Suddenly, a creature lunged from the shadows, its claws scraping the rocks near their heads. The girls screamed, but the human reacted instantly, throwing a rock with perfect aim. The beast stumbled, confused, giving them a chance to run. Through the chaos, the human led them across the valley, using the terrain to their advantage. He did not just survive, he taught them to move with him, to see patterns where feet saw only danger. The beasts roared and charged, but one by one they fell into traps he had silently guided them toward. By midday, the beasts had retreated, leaving the valley silent once again. The girls collapsed, exhausted but alive. The elders arrived, their eyes wide with amazement. How did he do this?" one whispered. The human stood tall, looking over the valley. "We don't conquer with force," he said quietly. "We survive with wisdom and trust." The brave girl stepped forward, her face glowing with newfound respect. "You have changed everything. We were afraid, but now we see. You are not like them. You are human, and yet, somehow more." For the first time, the colony felt hope and awe together. Fear had been beaten back, replaced by a sense of possibility. The girls hugged the human, their small bodies shaking with emotion, while the elders watched silently, understanding that a new chapter had begun. The sun climbed higher, casting light on the valley and the small group standing in it. Chaos had come, but wonder followed closely behind. And in that moment, one truth was clear. Humanity had arrived, not as conquerors, but as something the alien world had never truly known, a force of courage, patience, and hope. The humans smiled softly at the girls, and they smiled back. Together, they were ready for whatever came next.